Okay, it is 2 minutes after 7, and I am calling the June 22nd meeting of the Development Review Board to order. The first item of business is to review and approve the minutes of the previous meeting.
I make motion we approve the minutes from our past meeting.
I second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we approve the minutes. All in favor? Catherine?
Aye.
Okay. 5-0. Okay. I forgot. I should read my spiel first, shouldn't I?
Yeah.
Okay. At the DRB, we hear applications for land development in the town of Brattleboro and appeals of zoning administrator decisions. Procedurally, the Development Review Board operates on the record. Broadly, this means that we take a clear record of testimony from the applicant and any interested parties and then issue a written decision with our findings. Applicants and members of the public should be aware that as we are on the record, this is your opportunity to comment on and provide evidence related to an application. Application material and written testimony is posted to the town website as received. Hearings may be continued at the board's discretion if materially important documents are received after the submission deadline. In the event our hearing is appealed to the environmental court, the court will not take or consider additional testimony at its hearing, but will look for evidence from our hearings, the regulations, and determine if the evidence supports the findings and the decisions of this board. Only interested persons that participate in this proceeding may appeal a decision made by the board, so I strongly encourage all of you to speak up at this hearing. As we are on the record, we're going to ask that you affirm that your testimony will be truthful. So I'm going to ask everybody either online, on Zoom, or in the audience to please, well, you guys stand and you guys can just unmute, please. If you're being sworn in. Is that Richardson? Yeah. Please unmute yourself.
Hello.
Okay, I'm going to give the oath and just ask everybody to say yes, firm, unless you don't want to. I hereby affirm that the evidence I give in the cause under consideration shall be the whole truth and nothing but the truth under the pains and penalties of folks on Zoom?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
If you're not on the board and you're on Zoom, please mute yourself. Applicants require a majority of the full board to succeed. That's 4 votes out of 7. We have 5 people tonight. So you'll need 4 out of 5 votes. If we do not have a full board present, which we don't tonight, then we will consider a request to continue your application to the next public meeting. So when I call your project, you want to have us continue, we can do that. You can also hear what we have to say, and if you think it's not going your way, and you think you might have a better shot if we had a full board, you can ask at some point to continue. Let's see. After taking testimony, the board will close the public hearing and may vote on your application. The board will issue a written decision within 45 days of the close of the hearing. While we may vote on an application, it is the written decision that controls the timeline for appeal. It should be noted that the town of Brattleboro is a party with an interest in land development applications. The town does not have a special status with this board. Documents provided to the board by the town planning department, town attorney, or other town departments will be considered in exactly the same way as information from the applicant and all other interested parties. Okay. Brian, has the meeting been properly warned?
Yes, it was.
Does any member of the board have any conflicts of interest or has had any ex parte communications? Nope. Okay, the first case on the agenda is 22-46, Kate Greenough Richardson, residential neighborhood, request for waiver of dimensional standards. Ms. Richardson, you can unmute yourself and talk to us about your project.
Yeah, we would like to build a house next door to the house that we live in that is fully wheelchair accessible for my my sister to move into and live in. So that's what we're trying to plan.
Okay, and why are you coming? Why do you need a waiver of dimensional standards?
I believe that in order, because it's a very narrow site, in order to get adequate width of the footprint, we needed one of the boundaries to get too close to, or closer than the standard to, I think it's the driveway on our side of the lot.
Questions?
Not yet.
Okay,
Just so,
Yeah,
I mean, I'm
it's,
looking at the drawing here. I'm assuming that the dashed line on the, what would that be? West side of the parcel that we're looking at is the one that is the 5-foot line that we're speaking of?
I think that is correct. Can I request that Dan be allowed to also unmute himself, because he's actually probably more familiar with the drawings than I am.
Sure.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, thank you.
So it's 5 feet only in that back corner. The rest,
Correct. Yeah.
it angles out to looks like about 8 feet in the front corner.
Yep. Yes, that's about right.
There's my drawing. Okay,
Is there any way
That's it.
you can put that up? I don't have a copy of the plan.
Yeah, I don't have it either.
It came in the packet.
Not my packet.
Yeah, I don't have one either.
You don't have it? It was on the back of the application. Didn't
I'm
copy that.
sorry, it's not there.
I had to look.
Yeah.
Nope. Sorry.
You didn't. It was online. Not what was sent to me. It was on the website.
Okay.
Oh, great. Thank you, Steve.
Okay, so you're asking for a waiver from the 10-foot requirement.
That's
Down-
correct.
Yep.
Down to 5, okay. There's also an issue with the front setback. The setback from the road is supposed to be between, where's my note that I wrote? Sorry, I made a note, 15 to 40 feet. And the proposed front setback, I believe, is 50 feet. Is that true?
I think that's about right, yeah.
Okay, so we would have to give you a waiver also for the front setback.
Yes.
And how much is the side on the other side, the setback?
On the drawing there, you can see where a 10-foot setback would be. The driveway is part of 168.
So
168.
now, I'm trying to, if I remember correctly, don't we have it's like a 10-foot on either side, but they have to add up to 25 or something like that?
Yeah.
So this wouldn't meet that either.
It matches exactly the minimum that is allowed.
I guess that's what I'm wondering on the side. What is the?
Yeah.
I can't see it on my. I can't read the numbers on my drawing.
Yeah,
Oh, it's exactly 10 feet in the, where are we turning this? Southeast corner, and more like 18 feet to the garage in the northeast corner.
oh,
So that
the lot outlined in bold, is that the existing house or is that the one you want to build?
That's depending upon what you mean outlined in bold. With all the doors is the house that we want to build. There's the
Right.
old foundation is still in place, and that's a lot of the drawing.
So just to get back to the dimensions on this,
Yep.
in the very
Yep.
back corner, the corner of the house is furthest away from the street, from Elliot Street.
Yes.
You have on or about a 10-foot wide setback on the east and a 5-foot setback on the west,
And a 10-foot on the south.
and a 10-foot on the south. So that's the back. But I believe, Brian, correct me if I'm wrong, don't we specify that there's 10 on either side, but they have to add up to 25, or?
No, they're asking for a waiver, so usually it would be 25 combined with one at least 10 feet. But with a waiver, you're allowed to do 10 feet less than the district
Okay,
standard.
I just wanted to make sure that, assuming we approve this, that we're making enough of a waiver to make things work.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the problem is going to be the front.
Yeah, could you talk about why the house is set, the proposed house is set so far back?
The existing house was a rubble foundation built over a couple of different levels of ledge. And the back of the lot is flat. Zareen is a little concerned about privacy. And we actually really enjoy, once we took the existing house down, we really enjoy the sort of terraced feel of what was the basement there, and would like to retain that as a place to put raised bed gardens that she can reach from her wheelchair to the front of the house, to the front of the street, where other people will be able to enjoy them as well. So the construction would be much simpler, and I think make for a much more interesting appearance for everybody.
So as far as the front yard setback, I think the board could make a finding that the ruins of the old house are an extension of the structure. And in fact, those ruins hold a street edge as the regulations intend, if the board were to choose that.
So if you count the old foundation, where does that put you from the street?
Give me a minute, I should be able to get that.
Okay. 'Cause if
Steve, can you rotate that map? I just want to get a different purview. Thank you.
There you go.
Perfect. That's a better
Yeah.
Oh,
outlook.
nice, thank you.
Just zoom in a little bit on it. Thank you.
So if
Here, you
that you had that foundation and the remaining part is 40 feet, then we're good. We could be good.
You bet.
Aha.
Okay.
Oh, as soon as
Yeah,
it
isn't that
tells us,
wonderful?
it
Yeah.
makes the setback within 40 feet.
For what it's worth.
Yeah. I just want if it spills over into.
Yeah.
Well, see, this is their property,
Right.
and they own this property now as well, and they're gonna build this house back here.
Because if it doesn't put them under 40 feet, then
Maybe, Kate, could you just run out there with a tape measure and go from the street to the fence?
Certainly do that. So
Yeah.
we, from the
Sheesh.
side curb over to where the foundation.
From
sits.
the street or from the sidewalk? What's our
from the sidewalk.
sidewalk? Okay, so the sidewalk back to the fence.
Okay, 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Well, I think, isn't this concrete stuff?
This is what they're talking about.
Brick and rubble.
Oh. That front section, what is it, a porch?
No, it was the old
It was the
house.
old, it's
It's like
the leftover foundation
It's
from the
brick
house.
and rubble.
It's brick, kind of,
It's
Okay.
mostly fieldstone rubble.
yeah.
There's some cement block sections that we'll be taking out.
Well, I
And there's
just
a-
saw it from the
Yep.
street,
Yeah.
that's why,
Yeah, yep,
you
yep,
know,
yep.
we didn't,
yep.
I didn't walk up to see it.
Yep, yep.
What do you think?
There are brick chimneys all over it, so it's
I'm
really
trying
easy
to
to
figure
get
out
that
where-
impression.
From the sidewalk, it looks like we're just about 50 feet back to this line.
To
Right.
which line? This line?
Yeah, from, if you were to go from there to here, that'd be about 50 feet.
So that would not include that,
Folly.
yeah, that leftover.
Well, and
Leftover
that's,
foundation.
that's to the edge of the sidewalk. They're showing their boundaries as being another 5 feet in.
Yeah, so it's 45,
So it's gonna be 45. What's the number we're looking for?
40.
I'm back. We measured about 8 feet from the sidewalk to the front of the old building, the front of the wall. If you counted the depth
Yeah.
of the wall, then it is
I
nearly.
think that's here.
Yeah. So your calculation is pretty close.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Of course it is.
it's about 45.
yeah.
Yeah. So we've done some looking at the diagram and,
Scaling.
and we think that the dimension we were looking at is about 45 feet from the sidewalk to the edge of where the old foundation was.
To the,
45 feet puts you back to the new house.
Yeah.
45 feet brings you to the edge of, what is that, a porch on the front of it towards the road?
yes,
Yeah, the old foundation's like right here.
The old foundation is way up here.
Yeah, it's way up here.
Yeah.
So, but
Oh,
this,
to the-
but
yeah,
if you were to
yeah.
go from the edge of the property line here down to the edge of the porch, that would be 45 feet.
Right. So Brian suggests that
Yeah,
we
I-
could consider the old foundation as part of the house, the new house, the extension of the new house.
That is the way I understand it.
Yeah.
And are you, if I remember correctly, there's, isn't there like an old chimney and stuff in there?
yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
we,
they're,
we walk by there all the time, and
yeah.
it would be really nice to see that lot cleaned up some, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But are you planning on leaving the old chimney and such as part of the garden?
That's entirely up to, well, first y'all, and then Zareen, who will be living there and hasn't actually been on the site yet. She's out in Snohomish, Washington, and wheelchair bound, as to what she wants to do with it. But if you have something that you want done, we're happy to do it, whatever it is.
I just
I'm
was
just
thinking,
trying to
that-
write down the dimensions. Yeah.
I was just thinking that if you were to leave the old chimney there, that would be at least an inkling that it was part
Part of an old.
that it still existed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
It
would
could be
I would
interesting.
prefer to leave it pretty intact.
And it gives a little bit of history.
Yeah.
Okay, so does anybody, you have any questions, Catherine?
Oh, no, one thing I wanted to ask Michael is when you did that measurement, was that from the bottom part or the top part? Sidewalk.
Well, the measurement of 45 feet that I took would be from you see on the drawing there, the yellow line that shows
Yes.
that outlines the house.
Yes,
Above that, there's a porch that sticks out, that's in a dark line.
oh, okay, all right,
And that porch is approximately 45 feet from the property line that is up near the sidewalk, up near Elliot Street.
yep, I understand now, thank you.
Okay, so,
But I don't think can we even include porches in what we're.
well, the porch is part of the house.
You're right, but I'm saying but I guess what you're suggesting or what we might consider would be that the part of the old house would be considered, could be considered part of the new house as long as it was, and to meet a requirement, to meet a front setback requirement.
Yeah, it seems like a unique situation where they're trying to maintain a historic resource that already exists, and it is a structure of a type, so I think it would be reasonable.
And
Should the board
Yeah.
find it reasonable.
And that chimney is only about, what, 20 feet back
Yeah.
or so?
Yeah,
There's a
yeah, it's
couple,
quite close to the front. He's probably talking about the tall one, which was in the middle of the house.
Yeah.
There are
yeah, there's one that has a fireplace and one that's just a tall stack of bricks.
Yeah, there are two up front that are much closer than that.
Yeah, but the one that's more intact.
Yep, yep, yeah, the tall one.
Yeah.
So that gives us another 20 feet.
Yeah. Oh, no.
No,
That would be well within the,
Yeah, yeah, that's what I mean. That
front
makes that
setback.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, are there any other questions from the board? Any comments from anybody in the public? Anybody online have any questions?
I'm the next door neighbor on the east side, and just wanted to be part of this to let the board know that I'm in favor of what the folks here are doing, and my hope is that that old foundation can become a beautiful garden space and sort of beautify Elliot Street all the more.
Thank you.
And what is your name?
My name is Paul Rodrigue.
Okay, you're up near the road then.
Yep.
Yeah, you can see that's
Yep.
my name is listed on my garage there.
Yeah. Oh, no. I mean, I was just trying to make sure I knew where you were on the map. That's all.
Sure. Yeah.
It's right there.
And thank you so much for coming by and being part of this.
Okay, so can I have a motion to approve the required setbacks in the front, the side, and the back of the proposed structure,
The waiver.
the waiver?
Yeah.
I motion that we approve the 2022-46
Setback waiver.
setback waiver.
For the side and the front.
For the
The
side and
side, front, and back.
and back.
And back.
I second that.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the waivers, the waiver for the setbacks. I'm going to ask the board to vote. Catherine?
Aye.
Nora?
Aye.
Michael?
Aye.
Gary?
Aye.
And I'll vote aye. So your setbacks waivers have been approved. And thank you very much.
Thank you.
This is the map. This
No.
one?
No,
That's the next one. Keep it out.
Yes, for this one.
okay, next on the agenda is 2022-43, Subterra Cannabis. Urban Center District request for conditional use approval for a cannabis grow facility.
That's me.
Okay,
You want me to sit somewhere?
over there,
You already sat there. I think that's how they set it up.
Okay.
I know it's kind of in the way, but
okay, that's fine. So, would you please introduce yourself and talk to us about your project?
my name is Nathan Rupard. I've been over the last 15 years kind of working my way up Elliot Street, I guess turning around derelict buildings. I started with 12 Elliot where Boomerang was until very recently, and then moved up to where Hazel Restaurant is. I am one of the owners of Hazel Restaurant, and bought that when it was derelict and kind of turned it around. And now I'm moving hopefully next door onto the dry cleaners there. It's been vacant for, I want to say 8 years or maybe more.
I got 8.
I think it's
So,
9.
yep, I just purchased it a couple months ago, and my proposed use is as a cannabis grow facility in the basement for a couple years while I figure out what the building should be, I guess, for the future of Elliott Street. The current phase one is keeping everything in the basement and kind of starting to tackle all of the years of deferred maintenance and graffiti removal and broken windows, and there's a long list.
What happens when buildings get left alone?
Yeah.
Urban decay.
Yeah.
So,
Can you go into some detail about your grow facility plans?
Yeah, I have an application in with the Cannabis Control Board for a cultivation license of less than 2,500 square feet of canopy space. The building is, I think, just a hair under 8,000 square feet, but a significant portion of that is underground with a basement and a sub-basement. So it's a concrete building and pretty solid and secure. So I would be growing cannabis for the legal marketplace underground.
And when I look at the plans, I see it's almost as if your canopy area of 1,024, is that the sub-basement?
That's a sub-basement, so that's 2 stories down from street level at that point.
Okay.
It's an original vault that was built in with the building in the 40s, and that was actually originally climate controlled and fumigated with a safe door, and that is where all the fur coats in Brattleboro were stored over the summer. It's kind of an interesting space. So in the summer, so bugs didn't get into the fur coats, they would keep them climate controlled and fumigated. So it was a huge room full of hangers and, at one point, fur coats, apparently.
And I notice you have in here a note to the effect of air filtration.
Yes.
Could you go into any more detail on that?
Absolutely. You know, the cannabis industry has historically been illegal and black market. So one of the defining characteristics of equipment was smell removal, apparently. So there is a wealth of carbon filtration equipment and ozone generation equipment, which allows you to really deal with the smell in a way I don't think any of us really want downtown to smell like cannabis. So
At least not all of us, anyway.
well, it does sometimes anyway right now. So, so yeah, that was as part of the build out plan, was to basically fly under the radar. It's not a retail space and it wouldn't be open to the public.
And what do you talk about your phase 2? Are you coming here only for approval for phase 1?
We can do the approval for phase 2 also, which is maybe some cultivation space upstairs. That was probably a longer term plan. And I don't know if that'll ever come to pass. But there is a lot of square footage in the building that would go unused in the phase 1.
so phase 2 is ground level.
There would be one cultivation space on ground level, tucked back in, sort of behind the other buildings in there. So all of the space fronting the street and for a pretty good number of feet back would still be like a normal space, essentially. And then there was one room tucked back in behind the other building that I currently own that would potentially be a canopy space also.
And how big is that?
I don't have that in front of me. I think it was
700.
700 and something square feet, yeah.
So the ground floor, at least in the beginning, will be office space.
Office space and just generic storage, but not storage of any cannabis at all.
Okay, and there's something on here that says trimming and processing
Yeah, that would be one level down into the basement level.
in the basement level.
All right.
The Cannabis Control Board has some security requirements in all of their legislation. So in the current phase, keeping it in the basement would make that a lot easier on me.
There's a lot of glass in that building.
There is a lot of glass in that building.
Probably don't want to.
Yeah, then that's kind of an issue, and that's one reason why I didn't want to use any of the fronting space for cultivation at any point, because covering all that glass not only is expensive, but probably an eyesore. So if I can keep it to parts of the building that you don't normally see, if I did have to cover glass, it wouldn't be visible from the street.
Now, for security, how you guys, I was gonna see if you have anything written up how as far as that is since we're downtown.
Since we're downtown and on Elliot Street, there are some issues there. Luckily, being a concrete building, a security system with sensors on any doors and windows, and then the basement already has its own fire doors and is secured, so additional alarms on those doors could make it so that if anyone entered the building, the police would be alerted.
How many folks do you think will work here?
Just 2 in my current plan. I don't know down the road if things go well or if, I mean, this was kind of this came along as I had bought the building, and it seemed like a good use for the space for a short period of time while I figure out what to do with the building. I think if the, cannabis continues to be successful in Vermont, then probably I would end up moving the operation farther out of town and turn that building into a retail for somebody, or maybe somebody with a dream comes along. I don't know.
So the parking area,
Yep.
I know that we're just going to vote on your request for conditional use, but just out of curiosity, is there any plan to screen the parking lot or screen the front of the building a little?
I didn't initially in this phase have a plan to screen the parking lot. I did have a plan to maybe put a couple gates across the parking lot to prevent unauthorized parking. I have had a lease on the place, and my employees for the restaurant currently park there when they're working. So it has kind of served its own use for downtown.
Do you have a problem with putting a bike rack?
I do not, and that was clearly in the proposal. So there was a request for a landscaping plan. I don't know how involved that needs to be. When I took the lease over on the building, that was dirt out front, and now there's grass and a tree, and I try to keep it up and pick up the garbage and detritus and whatever finds its way into the lot.
So inaccessible, you said there's no stairs or anything or anywhere for parking too, or what, a way for people to get in if they need to access the building?
I suppose, like, if you were going to make it a public entrance, like if the public were allowed to come into the building, there is a set of doors on the parking lot side that potentially could be at ground level there for access. As the building is currently laid out, the 2 entrance doors are sort of next to each other on the front with stairs up both sides there. The Cannabis Control Board is pretty clear about entry into any kind of facility. So it's not the kind of thing where you could just invite people in without a visitor's log and signing them in. It's not a scenario where you'd be like, oh, come on in. It's not. That is clearly prohibited.
It's not a public use building.
Well, I mean, if employees have park, they have to come in or whatever too.
And what kind of, I'm not particularly, I haven't grown pot in years and years now, but with something like this, everything's contained, you have a waste stream coming out of it.
Yeah. In terms of plant material, you mean?
Whether it be plant material or down the sewer.
Yeah, I have a letter from the town of Brattleboro about wastewater, and I've spoken to Dan Tyler over there about any wastewater discharge. So he has assured me that anything that I'm currently doing in this plan shouldn't be a problem for the town. As far as solid waste, that's an excellent question, and that's something I think some people are tackling. But I had a conversation with Bob Spencer with the compost facility out at WSWMD. And if at any point there is waste that could be considered cannabis, they've agreed to cover it up and in the compost facility, and it could be composted without anyone getting their hands on it. So
That's good.
And will you be getting, will this be, I assume, with it starting from a derelict property, you're probably going to be getting a state wastewater permit for it?
that's a great question. I was talking to Dan about that. I mean, the water allocation for that building originally is so old, it's not on file, although clearly they were using a lot of water as a laundry.
One would assume.
So it's unclear right now what kind of wastewater permit is required, but if one is required, we'll certainly go down that road.
Touch base with the
A lot of-
specialist.
A lot of the more modern hydroponic systems you're applying water, fertilized water only as needed. So the actual runoff is very, very small. And that can either be returned back to the solution tank and reapplied to the plants, or if you are concerned about discharging that into a wastewater system, that can be run through a reverse osmosis filter and turned back into pure water again, and then reused. Or you could discharge that pure water, so.
And as far as ventilation and noise, you're keeping most of your air inside, no?
That is the goal, is to not be discharging massive amounts of air that you need to then treat for smell. So ideally, you're keeping it as tight as possible in order to control the environment, humidity, and minimize the amount of air that you need to treat, so you're not discharging a lot of air. Efficiency Vermont's been really helpful in terms of helping design and engineer HVAC systems that require the least amount of electricity, and likewise for lighting.
And will you be doing any sort of release of CO2 into the building?
Generally, in a more closed environment like that, yes, you do discharge a small amount of CO2 to maintain an ambient level in the room, and then the plants consume it, and they release oxygen. So yeah.
That's what they do.
I mean, in a sense, we're sequestering oxygen because they get it from the atmosphere, put it in tanks, sell it to me, and then I get the plants to turn it back into oxygen again. So
That's right.
maybe there's carbon credits there. I don't know.
Don't try to get it from the federal government, I don't think.
Can you talk to me about the sign?
The sign on the front?
Yeah, you said you wanted to restore the sign.
Really cool sign. I'd love to see it
Yeah.
restored. That said, I don't know that I would put a name on the sign, but I'd love to see it restored for the next use of the building. I feel like it really matches the building well, and I've always loved it. I'm not really trying to advertise what I'm doing in that location. So in a perfect world, I'd love to shore up the sign, repaint it, maybe blank even, but just, Originally, when I first started leasing that building, my dream was to build that out as Hazel Restaurant and move into that space, maybe with like dining outdoors or whatever. But the financial outlay and the toll of running a restaurant sort of put a damper on that. So maybe down the road somebody would see that use, or I do think that building has real potential for pushing the active part of Elliot Street out just that little bit more. When I took over 75 Elliot, where Hazel Restaurant is, that was a completely derelict, pretty difficult property at the time. And I do think, success there has brought more foot traffic out that way in a positive way.
Catherine, you have any questions?
Oh, no, not at all.
So I guess the last question, this is a rarity, about the noise level. See what it says in this section? I was like, odor and noise, I didn't know they measure odor. Is it an odor meter?
No,
No.
but I mean, your nose.
I think you could.
You know.
I think it's just
Basically,
defined as a nuisance odor, which
Right.
I mean, I think you could make the argument McNeil's was occasionally a nuisance odor, but
Well, even they talk about them being high VOC coming off of the cannabis plants.
yeah, they can be very smelly.
Yep.
And there's a whole industry built around carbon filtration essentially to render the outcoming discharge smellless.
And I mean, I haven't researched it all. Can that get pricey, or is that not that big of a deal?
It's not that big of a deal. And I think it's just one of the costs of doing business, just like any other business.
And that's, I mean, for me anyways, it's important that that you really, understand that you really don't want to be noticed.
That is something that I commit to, and generally, I mean, I do have to come out in the public and tell everyone what I'm doing, but I would prefer not to, and it just flew under the radar and the building got cleaned up, but it is what it is. That building also comes with a huge brick chimney, which is not in service anymore and wouldn't be needed for any of the heating requirements. So it's quite possible that that would also be a great place for a discharge once things have been treated with carbon filters and ozone generators.
You'll have a mixture of Mocha Joe and
There you go.
Cannabis.
Yeah.
a little balance there going. I just gotta get a brewery.
Does anyone else have any other questions about?
Catherine? Questions? No
No.
questions.
Oh,
Okay.
I was just thinking that where I live right now, I live upstairs from the Thrush Brewery, and they had to put in the filtration system. Unfortunately, that it worked just the opposite. Instead of now the people outside can't smell it, but we do in the building. And I'm going to tell you, cooking hops is just the other smell I think would be better.
with Mocha Joe.
So, and I have a motion to approve the conditional use for cannabis grow facility at 89 Elliot Street under miscellaneous manufacturing.
Could we just do a quick check to see if any members of the public want to
Oh, I
speak?
forgot, sorry. Is there anybody here to speak to this? Anybody online?
On the phone?
No. Okay. Nora, you want to make a motion?
All right,
What?
43.
43. No, a motion to approve the cannabis grow facility application 22-43.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the cannabis grow facility at 89 Elliott Street as a miscellaneous manufacturing use. So we started out talking about agricultural use, but then we had to switch to
We
manufacturing.
Manufacturing, whatever it is.
So, I will call the roll again. Catherine?
Aye.
Nora?
Aye.
I'll say aye. Michael?
Aye.
And I.
Gary? Okay.
Okay.
You have your facility, and I hope you do something nice with the sign. I really like the sign.
Oh, thanks. I'll do something cool. Thanks for your time, everyone.
You could just say hi.
Yeah. Gonna wave.
Okay, 2022 62.
Right.
Commonwealth Dairy, request for site plan and local Act 50 approval to construct a moving bed biofilm reactor. And I want you to explain to me what that is. They have some exhibits, and Catherine, I don't know how you're gonna be able to see them.
I can do like a shot of it, but I can't keep it up and her at the same time.
Yeah.
Or them. So.
Catherine, did you
That's
get
all right.
you got the package with all the drawings in it, though?
Yeah.
You should get the map.
Yeah.
So they will be the same exhibits that they're gonna use. if you refer to the correct page on the map, I can go to it.
Can you do that when you, if you use any of the
Not the
drawings
map,
that you
but the
submitted
design.
previously? Can you say which page it is so that she can follow?
So I'm Serenity Wolf. I'm with Stevenson Associates, and we're representing Commonwealth Dairy. And this is Sam Garland from Commonwealth Dairy. So we are here today to ask for approval to install additional wastewater treatment behind the existing facility off Falls Road. This treatment was originally approved in, I think, 2017 or 20, as a previous part of the previous project where we expanded the parking lot to the south.
2018, I think.
2018? Okay.
Yeah.
And so that was, this work was phase 2 of that project, and so we're coming back to reapprove that work. Since then,
Excuse me, which page are you on?
if you
I'm
look
sorry.
on page C3,
C3? Okay.
and the proposed work is on the northwest corner of the site,
C3, yes?
C3.
Okay.
So the building addition, so there's a building addition immediately adjacent to the existing facility. That's where a SAF will be installed, and that's an aeration tank that acts as pretreatment for the wastewater. Then the wastewater will be pumped over to the MBBR, which is the Moving Bed Biofilm Reactor, and that is additional biological treatment for the wastewater coming out of the yogurt manufacturing facility, and then it will be discharged back into the municipal system. So this additional treatment has been asked for by the state of Vermont and is part of an agreement with the town to reduce the BOD loading from the facility to the municipal wastewater treatment plant.
So you currently are discharging.
Yes, so there's a current permit that Commonwealth is struggling to maintain, has struggled in the past to maintain their limits, their current limits for BOD discharge to the town. And so this is additional treatment that will help rectify and significantly reduce the BOD that'll be discharged to the wastewater system, and will allow them to increase their production while decreasing their BOD to the town.
So you'd be discharging the same or more volume, but the strength will be reduced.
There will be more volume. So we talked to Dan Tyler. We have a wastewater allocation letter from the town. So there will be more volume granted from the town with less BOD in it. So the strength will be significantly reduced.
Can you, are you willing to educate us on on what your on what this process is a little bit?
So when there's wastewater, any form of contaminant, most forms of contaminant require oxygen to decompose. And so we call that a biological oxygen demand, the BOD. So milk is actually has a very high BOD and at times is considered similar to oil because there's a significant amount of oxygen that's required to decompose the milk or the oil or any of the other organic compounds that are in the wastewater. What the wastewater treatment facility at the municipal level has is they call them the bugs, the biological population in the wastewater treatment plant is what is used to break down that biological load, whether that's food that's gone down from like a residential or a restaurant, bits of food or milk from the manufacturing facility or discharge from hermit thrush as they've been brewing beer or something like that. All of that goes to the wastewater treatment plant, and that's what the bugs at the wastewater treatment plant, the microbiology breaks that down and converts that into something that's then acceptable to discharge into, ultimately the river. So what the MBBR will do is move some of that treatment onto the Commonwealth property so that the load and the effort required at the municipal wastewater treatment plant will be reduced.
Got that.
That's pre-treating.
Oh,
Yeah,
no,
it's a
I
pre- it's a-
understand that. I was wondering, I wanted to get into the nuts of it. But I can find out another day.
Well, you can ask Sam.
Yeah, because when I used to work at Grafton Cheese, we had those similar breakdowns of the culture.
Yeah.
So you'll be having that treated as well too, because you're making the yogurt. Pretty similar process. Okay. Oh.
And this is an Act 250 application, so from, once we have local zoning approval, assuming that's granted, we'll move on to Act 250, and there's a series of other permits here. There's a wetland permit because there is some work within the wetland buffer that was previously approved, and we're working with the state on that to get that renewed. All of the proposed work is outside of the riparian buffer. There's an existing stormwater permit on the site, and there will be a construction general permit. There's an existing construction general permit that will be going into renew as well, and that's for controlling runoff during construction. And then there's the wastewater permits, which will include the standard wastewater permit as well as the pretreatment permit that governs this treatment, pretreatment, and the industrial activities inside.
So what is a moving bed biofilm reactor?
That is not what I designed, so
So I can give you the layman's interpretation, all right?
Okay.
Because we have experts that have done that design work. Our current pre-treatment is a flotation unit that, with some chemicals, floats the solids that are easily floatable out, and we extract that sludge.
Yep.
And we transport that away. What this will do, the next step is the effluent from that will go into this big MBBR tank that is about half full of little plastic chips or little funny geometry, kind of like a golf ball, but with lots of surface area. And air will be blown in the bottom of the tank to agitate that and to aerate it. So it's the air that helps the bugs consume the sugars and the organic matter.
So it's very much like what you'd have with a pre-treatment system for a residential place, just on an industrial scale.
Certainly on the industrial scale, and it's introducing a lot of forcing the oxygen in to force the process. And then the final step before we release the water then is to go through another flotation chamber where we salvage all of the sludge, again, to get more of the solids out that'll be trucked away, and that will allow us to release a cleaner effluent to the city so that our total BOD, even at the increased flow, will be considerably less than what it is today.
How many more trucks you looking, I guess, Courtney, that out? This is your backup, basically, infiltration. You'll be quoting out, probably parting out more bio-waste, if I'm not mistaken.
So right now, it's I think about every other day when the sludge is trucked away. And I think it will still be just every other day. Might be a little bit bigger, but it's still not even a truckload. So it won't increase the traffic. It just makes it a little more practical because it's a great product that the digesters like for energy generation as well.
Yeah. Catherine, you have any questions?
No, I don't.
Okay, we got a memo today. Did you get it, Catherine? From Sue Fillion
Oh, yeah.
on the Act 250 impact. So I think we're covered there, right? For local Act 250.
Seems that.
Is this a new thing? Are you gonna be doing this for Act
Standard for Act
250?
250 is part of the Act 250 application. Sometimes it's completed after the board has made approval.
It's nice to get it in advance. Okay, are there any questions from members of the public? Any other questions from the board? No?
Actually, I do have one question.
Okay.
Just thinking about it. When you're aerating this stuff, I assume you're discharging air into the area, yeah?
Right, we're forcing the air into the bottom of the tank, yes.
So will you be, what about any sort of nuisance smells that might be coming from this process?
So if you don't have air, it's when it stagnates, and that's when you get the odor. So by the oxygenating the effluent, that actually reduces the smell. So it's being productive in the tank, and we're not casting off the stink.
Just nice to be nice to your neighbors, that's all.
Fair questions, and yes.
That way. I guess the one question I want this, I mean, they said the board may wish to ask, I don't know if this is what you were talking about, mine with the Act 250.
Yeah.
Additional clarification about the impact of on allocation that the proposed changes may have in the applicant's compliance history.
Well,
So I don't know
it
that.
was,
That was an
That was
email
the-
from
that
Sue.
was that
So
memo.
that's, oh, I didn't get that memo, okay.
Yeah.
It came this afternoon.
Ah, okay, that's probably why.
That was because the town was slow in getting it during the handoff of the town managers, and we were just
Yeah.
able to review it.
So I retort my statement.
So this, to address your question, this is to increase compliance with the pretreatment permits that they have. And this is actually necessary for us, for Commonwealth to continue on the path of resolving those issues.
So this is kind of going hand in hand with increasing production.
Yes.
You gotta,
It fulfills our obligations
Yeah.
to the state and to the town to be more compliant with the wastewater that we release, and we're sizing it in such a way that it will allow us to grow the business there.
And
At the same time.
environmentally as well, too.
Yes, in a much more environmentally friendly way.
Yeah, yogurt is
Delicious.
very good. That's delicious.
And we're happy to keep supporting the Vermont farmers and bring more milk into the
I
plant.
was gonna say, it's very popular, right?
Yes.
Is there a motion to approve Commonwealth Dairy's request
I'm gonna
for site
motion-
plan approval and local activity, Act 250 approval? To pre-treat wastewater at 66 Paul Road.
I will motion that 2022-62 Commonwealth Dairy
Okay.
request.
I second.
The second was Catherine. Okay. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Catherine?
Aye.
Nora?
everybody said aye.
Everybody said aye. You're good to go.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Who has that one?
Okay, just let me,
I don't have that one.
Yeah. You guys are all-
okay,
That's ready for it. Yeah.
you know, Catherine didn't
Yeah.
get these.
Didn't get
Nope.
this, but
Nope.
they were sent.
I got it. I just didn't get the 250 to act that one. That's the
No. We're talking about the next one. Catherine's.
No, that's,
Oh.
I don't have the cover page, but I guess it's the same one.
Is it not enough cheap? Is it not
She
cheap?
got this.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
first one is there, but the rest isn't.
Well, this is just a
The
site
applicant
plan.
is the applicant is Sam Garland?
No, that was the last, that
Right,
was
that's all
Commonwealth
I have.
Dairy.
I didn't get this one at all.
Burton,
The car
It's-
wash?
No.
There's only, you probably only got 2 pages, or 3 pages.
Was there
Yeah.
a PDF on this? No. This is just.
Yes. No, there was this,
What does it look like? What have you got?
I got this.
No, I'm sorry.
Oh, no, next one.
I didn't
No,
get
I don't have that.
I don't have it either.
I got
No,
it.
I have no dark pages.
That's special.
Oh, I may have printed this offline.
yeah, it was posted.
It was
Yeah.
posted. That's what it was. I
Yeah.
printed
They could
this.
probably pull it right up.
Yeah.
All right, that's okay. I'll go with it with you.
Steve is trying to pull it up.
Yeah,
So-
but I mean,
so
he
this
still has
is-
to, well, he has to present his case anyway.
Well, we're not voting on this one. This is just a site plan review.
Oh,
A sketch plan review, excuse me.
oh,
So that, we can just comment on the proposal. That's all. We're not gonna vote to approve.
right. Didn't he
Okay.
come before us before?
No,
No.
that was a different car wash.
That was a
Oh.
different Carl. 2022-72, Burton Holdings. Gonna come up. For request for sketch plan review to demolish existing structures and construct, a car wash with site improvements. So that's basically this.
Actually, well, I'm Connie Burton, owner of Burton Car Wash. The facility that we're talking about on Canal Street had been leased, but the lease has been terminated, and so I want to put a new car wash up there. The present building is, it just is beyond repair, so it really needs to be taken down. The print that you have up there is a little bit different from the one that you have been given tonight, in that, on that one, the diner portion is next to the car wash. But after having met with the people in the planning department who talked about setback requirements, we decided that we would do the print, moving the diner up closer to the street, which really is a better situation for us because it gives more parking. But to back up a little bit, because the lease is terminated, and so I want to put a new car wash in on that site. But what I already own and where the building is now is really a very small site. It's only 0.37 acres and very narrow, and has a lot of issues with just putting a car wash back there. So what I want to do is to buy the lot next door, and sort of make a car wash center with not only a conveyor car wash, but also with two self-serve wash bays and some more vacuums. And in the process, the old building obviously would be demolished. The building that now houses Pink Flamingo would have to be demolished. But we want to save the little diner that's inside that building. I don't think a lot of people even know that there's a diner there because there have been so many additions onto that structure. But we would like sort of to preserve a little bit of Brattleboro's history and take that diner and just move that part of it up towards the street.
Will it be
Okay, so-
serving food?
Just,
Yes.
so just to say, the copy that's up here is not what we're gonna review.
Well,
That's not the most current
Right.
rendition.
The only change there is the fact that what you have is the diner is sort of in the middle of the property there,
Yep.
attached to where the two self-serve bays would be.
Yep.
But after talking with the planning department people, we changed the plans and bring that down to the street, which you can see.
Okay.
So it makes it more visible, makes
Yeah,
it,
it's just Catherine can't see that.
right, I'm sorry.
Oh, now
about
I see it
Oh,
now.
she's-
Oh, she
That's-
can see that.
Drawing a
Hey,
very.
oh, yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
He just demolished the old diner and moved it.
You're a genius.
Okay, thank you.
Steve.
Thanks, Steve.
Technician there.
Okay.
Is there any way to show one of these to Catherine?
No.
Not unless it's digital.
No, that's
Scan it
fine.
in
This-
there,
I
don't
can work
see.
with this.
Okay,
Okay,
thanks.
it's a good conception.
Yep.
visually.
So I think you have the
Yeah,
idea,
that's
right,
fine.
Catherine?
Yeah.
Any questions about, I mean, we just want to get a sense of, you know, what what you folks on the board would think of this plan. And, you know, before we've done a lot of researching on equipment and, you know, various things that would be involved in building a project like this. But we don't have lots of specific details for you. We just want to get a sense of, does it make sense for us to go forward and spend more time and effort in going with this?
So the diner would basically have 6 spaces?
6, 7, 8, 9.
The ones here on the, there are parking places here too.
Oh,
3
oh,
here too.
okay. Oh, 3, okay.
And where would you be exiting the car wash to?
So the car wash, if you were exiting the car wash, you'd be coming out on Burge Street.
Oh,
Okay,
right, yep.
so the property that's you're wrapping around is the laundromat?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And right now, just so that I understand it, the current diner is kind of over where your cars are entering, yes?
The diner currently is kind of in the middle of the parking lot where the diner is situated right now on the drawing.
Jason from the
It really is here.
Okay. It just seemed,
It's, the diner is really set back from the, from
The
Canal
road
Street.
currently.
And it's more, the current diner is more in the center of that
That-
little section of the
Right,
property.
right.
Yeah.
And
And
it's-
there's parking out front now and
Yeah.
parking
Yeah.
along the side and in back. And we would eliminate that parking, you know, in front because the diner would be closer to the street. Not only getting, you know, people driving to it, but also foot traffic on Canal Street.
Your plan to plant around the edges so that it screens the parking for the diner.
Yes, there would
To a
be
degree, yeah.
plantings in front.
I have a question on the hours, if that's okay. I was just wondering, will the diner be, 24/7? Or what hours will the car wash be open and will the diner be open when the car wash is closed?
This car wash, if you're thinking of our car wash on Putney Road currently as being open 24/7, that's because it's a model that can be open 24/7. This one requires attendance and would not be open 24 hours a day. It would be open 7 days a week, hopefully, but probably from like 7:30 to 7:30 or something like that. And the diner, we plan to engage somebody else who will run the diner, who will manage
Oh,
that.
okay.
And so, you know, the hours would depend upon, it would depend upon what they wanted to do. And lots of times, you know, diners are just breakfast and lunch kind of places too.
Right,
So,
exactly.
you know, it could be that. We don't really know at this point.
Okay, thank you.
And one of the reasons why I feel strongly about wanting to do a car wash on Canal Street is that I just feel as though the residents of the area, not just Brattleboro, because we get customers from the whole of Windham County and across the river, but you know, the present car wash that we have now is 3 pressure automatic bays with 1 self-serve bay. And I really think people should have a choice whether they want to do pressure automatic or conveyor or wand wash. And this would give them the choice between the pressure automatic on Putney Road and the 1 wand bay that we have there, which is very busy and really doesn't really provide enough wand wash capability for the town of Brattleboro. So 2 will fit on this lot, and that's why we would like to put those there too.
You just noticed that our cars are a lot dirtier. That's all.
Especially if you're driving Route 9, right?
This also gives an option on the other end of town, which would be helpful to a lot of people. We do, since the closure of Canal Street, we have a lot of people that have come over and said, well, you know, I used to use Canal Street and this isn't convenient for me, you know, and
Yeah,
this
I'm
would,
one of them.
there you go. This would give you another option.
And right on Canal, that'd be convenient, especially this diner.
You know,
Any other questions or any suggestions for
Well,
that, about what they should do?
I really, from looking at it, you know, it's good. It's just the, I don't know if you did a traffic survey too. That's another thing, because being with the school too, and your hours of operate, that's the only thing with the hours with that Canal Street gets very busy at a certain time with the school, with people going up to work.
Well,
right. So that being said,
also,
yeah,
I use Bird Street quite regularly.
Right.
And it can be
challenging.
not having anything to do with the car wash at all, but people tend to park in front of the laundromat with large vehicles. You can't see down the road at all until you get out into the road lots of times.
Yeah, it's true.
And we'll be adding appreciable traffic
Coming out.
Yeah.
coming out onto
Burr Street, yeah.
Canal from there, from Burge.
Yeah.
I mean, not that it
depends on the person too, because they have the option to go either way on Bird Street.
Right,
You know,
right.
you would be adding some. I would
Right,
be remiss
right.
not to
I
recognize
mean, you know, you're coming off a canal and onto Burge, so it's people. I imagine a lot of people will be going back to Canal. Yeah.
And that was a place for a lot of people. And I could say something about Burton, them being there. You know, it kind of revitalizes them. People were working there. It created jobs for a lot of people in that neighborhood, which is a plus. It brings more attention, more attraction. Too bad it wasn't Sporties. That would have been nice. Yeah, Sporties. But yeah, I would definitely.
I think it would change the feel of that neighborhood, having a new project,
And
you know,
seeing more
and
interest.
we are, you know, looking to add somewhere between 6 and 12 employees, you know, not all full-time. Still looking into how to run that business model. But I do know we won't have less than 3 employees on at any given time.
So I do have kind of a question about kind of the traffic flow of the site. So you have, coming off the canal, you have like a double row going into the kind of the car wash central. And then some landscaping, and then right next to that, to the left, there's one kind of aisle that goes into 2 for a different kind of car wash. Right?
Self-serve.
The self-serve wand wash.
Self-serve, right.
Yes.
And so then they exit, and then you have the diner kind of, so, and then over on the edge, I guess this is where you do your inside of your car, right? You get
Vacuums.
Yeah, right. So how do the people that are going through the big car wash go over to where they're doing this?
Where they're doing the vacuuming.
Yeah.
They would have to veer to
Exit
the
and go
left
back
and,
in
pardon?
How do
Turn to
they-
the left.
They would turn to the left and use
onto
those.
Birch.
No,
No, they would go from the exit of the car wash, just turning left to get into the vacuum
I just-
spaces.
Okay, and crossing over where the other traffic's coming out.
yeah, there's not a lot of traffic. I mean, typically somebody using a self-serve bay will take anywhere from 12 to 30 minutes, you know, depending on what they're doing. So you're not going to get a lot of traffic coming out of those self-serve bays. So it would be, and even the number of cars coming out of the exit of the tunnel, you know, you're talking even at your highest speed, you're probably talking about 60 cars per hour. So you're talking 1 a minute. So it's not like a lot of traffic going in and out.
You can probably erase most of these cars that are on the track.
No, I know.
Yeah, if we're that busy, we're doing well.
It just concerns me, kind of like.
Cross traffic. Cross traffic, but there's.
And they want to say, oh, I want to get a milkshake or
So
whatever, and they're
all-
going over there and
So-
crossing the parking lot in ways without kind of any flow, like directing them.
Is
Which I
there,
would
There
kind
will
of
be
see.
lines and arrows and
is there
signage.
any way for people that go
See
into
what I'm
the first,
Oh, yeah.
the first driveway
This
and
way,
don't want to go through the big car wash to get out?
Yes.
Yes, you can see that where it's labeled employee parking.
They can loop
They could-
around.
Be a
That will be,
pass-through.
yes, that will be a pass-through.
Now, that brown computers, is that further back?
So it would be, if you're looking at the drawing, it'll be your upper left.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
next one back. Okay. Because there's a road that goes back that way, there's Birch Street, and then there's that one going to DMI, so, okay. I'm just visualizing in my head because I'm up there, okay, so you do have that flow which people can decide which way.
And all the traffic, your traffic plan seems to be set up so that you're going out. All the traffic from the diner and everything is going on to Burge.
Yeah, that's where the arrows are, but there isn't anything that would stop people from, if they're just doing the diner, coming out and coming back onto Canal Street.
Oh, right, they could, right,
Really?
because once you get out on Birch, you could go either way.
No, but you could
No,
exit the
here.
property.
Potentially
here.
exit.
Is that wide enough for two-way traffic and trucks and stuff?
Oh, it looks like it's what, about 20 feet or?
Is that what?
Do you know
I
what the
think it's
width?
22 feet.
22?
Yeah. I'm Matt Traffy with Arlen Company,
Yeah, I'm sorry.
so I've been working with Connie on developing the site.
Okay.
This is also Aaron Smith, too, just to identify him. He's been working with me up at the car wash on Putney Road for 5 or 6 years.
Brian, I seem to remember something about not having doors and such visible from trying to keep that stuff from being seen from the road as you're going by the entrances. What is your feeling on how this meets that requirement?
I think it's your feeling that is important here.
Okay. I mean, it is, looking at the artist,
If you look at the last page,
well, but I mean, this is kind of the, I mean,
The
that's,
exit of the car wash is fairly visible from Bird Street, but as far as the entrance to the car wash, because of the angle that it's on, I don't think it would be all that visible.
Of course, that standard applies to both frontages on Burge and Canal.
pardon me?
That standard applies to both frontages on Canal and on Burge Street.
Yep.
so
I have a
I know
question.
Catherine can't see this, but this view,
That's from being on the lot, looking at from the entrance lane into the tunnel. That's not from the street view. I have a
okay,
question. What
so
is-
that's if you compare this to the first
That's looking
picture,
from like the
it's-
second car
it's
back to,
coming from back here.
yes.
Yep.
I had a question. Gentleman back there.
I had a question. What is the goal of having the rule about seeing an entrance or an exit of a building or I don't,
Sure, I can help with that. So this is supposed to be a transitional zone, which is supportive of a residential mixed-use walkable district. So it's trying to reduce the impact of automotive-orientated businesses, both visually and on the walking environment. So it's trying to reduce the number of access points and kind of service space and give a more residential quality to the district.
okay. I was just curious, like,
Yeah, I mean, not that there isn't plenty of other garage doors across the street or what have you, but it's,
I just didn't know what the goal was or.
no,
what
yeah, but
reason.
it's the direction that we're kind of trying to move in.
So when you exit, it doesn't look as if the bay doors are perpendicular to Burge, right? They're kind
No.
of at an angle?
Yes.
Just a little bit.
Right.
I mean, this one is more so.
I would say 30
setback,
degrees.
But here you're gonna have, when you're coming up Burge, looking over from Burge Street, you're gonna have it's almost straight on. Just, I mean, slightly off angle.
Yeah.
Well, it's gonna be. You have to have enough exit, so you can't really put planting there.
Well, I mean, you could reduce, I mean, right now you're having,
It's big.
it looks
Yeah,
like
that's
you've
true,
got
you
about
have-
50 feet of exit there, no?
Quite a ways. It'd be longer than that even, I think.
You probably could cut back the number of exits and
Just had an idea on that. What about next to the diner? You could actually almost close off the Burge Street end and have planning to screen the exit end of the tunnel and then have the traffic redirected through the lot. Diner, dump it back onto Canal Street.
Just
Take away a couple of spaces.
just, I mean, because that's, I mean, it's just the direction we're trying to go in here and that.
So would it be better to have the wash traffic exit back onto Canal Street and be able to shield Burge?
Well, if I can't.
I was just wondering if there was a way
If you
that
can
you could.
extend that green space where you're,
Burge, right. So it's not
So-
50
so
Along
feet
Burge?
smaller.
So if you're driving up Burge Street towards Canal and you look left, you're not looking at three or four garage bays there.
or 3 lanes.
Yeah,
I
3
mean,
lanes.
that's a very wide exit area, right?
Yeah.
So if you could move the bottom plantings up a little bit, I'm not sure how wide that is, but it looks like,
Now, I'm not sure where you mean which plantings.
Right here,
Yeah.
extending
Oh, I
from the
see, okay.
vacuums this way.
Or
Right
even
here.
have some sort of a wall or something there.
This becomes smaller.
If you could possibly put up some screening even, that would reduce the view of, make it look a bit less industrial there.
And I think you want to prevent people from turning in that way. That this is just an exit only.
Right, it is
not an
exit only,
entrance.
yes. Mhm.
That's right. It's just better
Yeah.
than it.
because you want the traffic to go from Canal to Burge.
Right.
I think that's a better traffic flow.
Yeah, no, we agree with that.
Much
But like I say, you have an opportunity to do some screening. And having an exit that's what, 50, 60 feet wide is a little.
Well, it's non-conforming.
Huh?
It's non-conforming.
It would be non-conforming, thank you. Feels kind of Wild Westy, you know? So, yeah, what would be your preferred exit there? Just like 20 feet or less?
No, you would have 2 lanes, right?
Well, not if you're exiting, doesn't have to be 2 lanes. If all you're doing is.
Oh, you're exiting from,
You're exiting from everywhere.
yeah.
Doesn't
So
have
that
to
would
be
be-
2 lanes. You can be just a 1 lane if you're really trying to control the flow of traffic.
Right.
So that would be something different than what's there already, because what's there already is there's quite a bit of an exit, and then there's that little island where there's a couple trees and stuff, and then there's another. So that whole south side of the property that we want to buy is pretty much open for
Right now.
right now. So this would have to tighten that up a bit, is what you're saying.
Opportunity.
Any other suggestions? Or comments?
You guys might want to review Steve's memo too. I think that might have raised some. Look over Steve's memo. I think it might have raised some
You
issues.
has a memo?
Yeah.
Which one, what part on there, Brian, are you looking at? On here, 522, 5B, see?
This one.
Yeah, so, when we're looking at building standards, I think we're gonna want to see an elevation to see how high this all is.
A 2-story.
Well, at least the front looks like it's 2-story.
Right. You know, and our building right now up on Putney Road is definitely 2 stories, so that's doable, I'm sure.
They did show some elevations.
Yeah.
Yeah. On the stuff we just got today.
The renderings do show it, yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, and then is this, oh, go ahead, sorry, Maya.
And I'm looking at this drawing, that's the view from Canal, right?
Yes. Now, one of the things in this memo talks about use standards. A car wash would have to be understood to serve as a type of automotive service, which I guess I
would say it very
definitely
much
feel we're
is.
automotive service, yeah. I mean, we just went through the pandemic, and one of the businesses that was allowed to stay open were automotive repair and maintenance, and we stayed open because obviously we're a big part of the maintenance of your car.
Yes.
The setback issue, one of the reasons for moving the diner, which we liked it,
Better anyways.
rendering better anyway, was to move it, closer to the street, which solved one of the setback issues that was non-conforming before.
Well, the diner will be more accessible to walk in.
Absolutely.
When it's on the street.
Right, yes.
So when I'm looking at this and right behind the diner there, and you have the parking on one side and parking on the other and a few parking up there. It seems like we have a great big space of what's just gonna be asphalt in the middle. Do you see that?
Yep.
So I don't particularly like that much unused asphalt. It doesn't seem friendly.
And by moving the diner, it gets even bigger,
Right.
or so it seems.
But that's just, you
So
know.
are you talking about, putting,
I'm not giving you a
putting-
solution, this is conceptual stuff, so I'm telling you one of the things that's kind of bothering me about it. This big, essentially a parking lot with no parking.
Right,
you
that's what I
know,
was,
and-
that's what
and
you're
no
sort of
other
expecting there to
useful-
be lined parking in that area.
Well, but it doesn't have a useful purpose except not letting water flow through it or anything. It's just
Is there any way you could put a small, I don't know,
island.
Little island of
Yes,
parking.
I don't know.
plantings or,
It'd get difficult to maneuver around if you put something in the center. It's,
Well, we have all sorts of rulings about and suggestions and actual, things about big parking areas, and we don't generally like big parking areas. I know they're easier to plow, but,
Do you have any thoughts, Matt?
Yeah, that could be done with a pervious surface, so all the water would just run through.
Right.
It wouldn't be like it's an impervious surface and the water just running everywhere.
Yep. I
It'd be
like that.
very easy to do a pervious surface there to catch the runoff.
Would it, just looking at it, you have an opportunity, once again, to, in the drawings that we have here, you put in a strip there for some plantings along that.
Or an EV charger.
Pardon me?
An EV charger.
Well, I mean,
Bike rack.
but I was just wondering if it might make sense if that actually got a little wider and some of the, and your parking
Parking
for the
moves in a little
diner
bit.
moved in a little bit.
Put a bike rack set there, you put there for people who just wanna bike up there to go eat at the diner too, right? That'd be something.
Circulation for the cars to get on it.
back out and turn.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, there would be needed space for, like Matt just said, the cars, if they pull in, they're gonna have to have space to back out to maneuver around.
Right. It just looks, like Nora says, it just looks like it's a huge.
A lot less than there is now. Yeah.
But
Well,
I mean,
just-
it just, as far as going forward, you have a chance to try to make it look a little homier and a little less industrial in this type of environment.
So the one on the south side is one of the ones we're talking about. This big, looks like a big parking area is something you're concerned about too. Are there other things that you're concerned about?
no, I think the visual from Burge, which we talked about,
Yep.
and that space.
Right, yes.
Just to think about what you could do there that doesn't impede traffic and.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, you're starting with a clean slate here, so it's nice as far as that goes.
To just jump in really quickly, the proposed building doesn't meet the setback standards for front setback
Yeah.
on either side. It also doesn't meet the minimum build out on either side. So it's just really,
Which building? The diner or the car wash?
either. I mean, there's a minimum percentage build out for frontage, and I don't think it meets either of those.
Are you saying the diner building being too small, not covering enough frontage feet, like in width?
Exactly. And then there's nothing on the Burr Street side, so that's also non-conforming.
There's also parking within the minimum front setback on both sides.
For the diner, but yes,
It's non-compliant.
yeah, but that doesn't bother me I mean, it's gonna be more screened.
Parking within the minimum front setback, it would need to be moved.
I think there's also a limitation on having driveways too close together. And I
Yeah.
don't think it meets it on the Canal Street side, but I think that would probably be easier to modify.
Yeah. Excuse me. So those
You're
three-
talking about the parking,
the three
you're talking
spaces
about the
that
parking
are-
for the diner.
Yeah,
in the
three
front
spaces that are
setback.
next to the diner, and probably one, possibly two of the Birch Street side spaces are within the minimum front setback, which is getting
You mean the clean out where you clean out your car? Those spaces there? Is that what you mean, Steve?
So there's three spaces that are being shown next to the diner.
Right,
And
got that.
those are within the minimum front setback.
Right. I mean, the Bird Street you were mentioning. What's our objection there?
Yeah. Yes, okay.
Is-
So at least one of those, I would imagine possibly two of them, part of the second one, are within the minimum front setback there as well.
You mean,
Isn't that
I'm just going to point it out because I don't know what you mean. Do you mean these here?
Yes, so because this is a,
These aren't parking spaces though.
Those are vacuums.
These are vacuums, right?
understood. Okay. So then, regardless, these are
these.
within the minimum
Right.
front setback.
So they're too close to. Right.
Now, on the rendering that we have, it looks as if they got pushed back a little bit
Yes.
compared to
What that is.
what
Exactly.
that is, but
Yeah, they've been moved back quite a bit from that.
I mean, I don't see a scale on this drawing, but are those parking lots,
Well, if you look at that dotted line is the town setback, the requirement.
yep. Okay,
All right. So you're okay.
so
with now?
the edge of your parking lot would be the setback for the, minimum setback for the town.
Yeah.
And likewise on where the vacuums are.
Yeah.
Good.
So Brian brought that up at our initial meeting, so we moved them back.
Good.
So what is the, Brian, what, the coverage issue, percentage of coverage of the lot?
No, building the frontage build out. Certain percentage of the width of a road frontage has to be built out with a building. And, the only build out on this one is the cafe, the diner.
I get that. And I would also kind of argue as like, do we really want a car wash right up in front of the road?
Well, it requires buildings to be addressing the road, so,
Yeah.
I mean, there's another question entirely of whether car wash is supportive of the neighborhood and compatible with the district. But, I think the dimensional issues are a little bit more straightforward.
To address the issue of the car wash itself being closer to the road, with car washes, it's really important to have enough stacking area so that you don't clog up the road. So you really can't put a car wash right next to the road because you need that stacking area for the cars. So that's why you really need to drive to the back of the lot to go through, so that as you can see on a busy day, you can have the quite a few cars stacked up without interfering with the traffic on Canal Street.
So like the way it's set up on Putney Road, you have to have it so you're not clogging up the streets. On Putney Road, there's only so many and so many bays, and they go in there, and people pretty much know, oh, maybe come back, rather than having a line of cars stacked up that way. mean, because like even when it was originally, when it was open there, not that many cars would line up that road anyway, 'cause it was set back on Canal Street too.
Well, you entered the back and
Well, no,
exited the front, so you had
Yeah.
that.
right,
You had to go
but now
around.
it's
You had
turned
that
this
long,
way.
you had a long driveway feeding it.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know how to address the, your build-out concerns, or our build-out concerns. As far as the frontage?
Trying to find.
It's going on to, we're getting up onto 9, so does the board want to summarize any advice I would like to give to the applicants?
I actually think we ought to talk about it among ourselves and maybe come back with something. So
I'd give you something in writing.
Yeah.
Maybe we can,
yeah, I
Brian
don't
can
have
write up a-
any clear thing except for my, the concerns I already said. But it doesn't certainly address kind of this frontage issue, which is really big. And I have kind of mixed feelings about that now.
yeah.
So would the board want us to schedule a Zoom meeting tomorrow or next week, or?
I can't do anything after tonight.
After tonight, okay.
Do we want to go into short session?
Can we go into a short session?
We could just close the public hearing and then continue
Yeah.
in a deliberative session.
Yeah,
That's fine with me.
Stop
So-
recording.
Does that work for you guys?
we'll just a few more minutes, I think. Okay, so is there, we're gonna talk and then you'll get something, but you know what we've already talked about. This, the exit onto Burge and the large area. And we have to talk about how to deal with the frontage business.
So if in your communication with us, if you could include even the things that we've already talked about, just so
Yeah.
that, we
Yeah,
have
we-
it all in writing.
yeah.
Yeah,
The whole thing,
yeah.
okay, yeah,
Well, Brian will write it up for you.
okay. Okay, thank you very much for your time.
So is there a motion to adjourn and to go into deliberative session?
Did we,
Are you not gonna combine them together?
are we interested in any public comment on it at all?
Oh, yeah. I don't think we have any more public.
No,
It might be worth asking, that's all.
right.
We don't have any more public online.
There isn't any
Okay.
more public, so
No phone calls.
there's nobody.
Nobody. Crickets.
Everybody gone to bed.
So that I would motion that I guess would motion.
We will, can I have a
Adjourn the-
motion to
Adjourn the meeting, go
adjourn?
into
Go on,
executive.
Can we have a motion to adjourn and go into deliberative session?
I motion.
Don't combine them together.
Second,
Okay.
in
It's
favor?
All in favor of adjournment?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.